I'm on a quest to find the best out-of-the-box striker fire pistol between $350 and $550. Welcome back as we try to find the best out-of-the-box pistol. Today we're looking at the H&K VP9 as already demonstrated in our intro. We're going to look at the shootability, the reliability, and the price today, and hopefully you enjoy. Like and subscribe. Those things help me out tremendous. Leave comment section of your experience with the H&K VP9 in the comment section below. So let's put 15 rounds into our bull at 25 yards and see what kind of accuracy we get. All right, let's go see what we did. So I'll tell you right off the bat, these are combat sights, so the dot has to cover what you're looking at. So I'm not as accurate with these types of sights, but it's one of the things that goes in the review. All right, here we go. A little low and to the left. Would you believe it? This is probably just a little anticipation upon my part. Here's some good shots, but when I felt like that they were good shots, I felt like these were all good shots. Obviously these are some pretty crappy shots, but consistently, of course, obviously the gun helps me get on paper. The trigger helps me get on paper at 25. Looks like I've got to either find some other sights that will aid me in shooting this better, or perhaps learn how to press the trigger better. So let's talk about the shootability of the H&K VP9. Of course, we've got three factors when we talk about shootability. We got grip, how's the gun feel in my hands, sight picture, what are the sights communicating to me as for point of aim, point of impact, and trigger pull, what does the trigger pull feel like? So when we talk about shootability, grip is a very important thing. How the gun feels when it recoils in my hands, how high I can get up on the gun, all those factors. Primarily, when I think about the grip of the H&K VP9, I do not like it. I do not like the ergonomics that people like about it. I can't get my hand up very high. It has a higher bore axis, and what that means is that there's just more energy going over my hand instead of going in towards my wrist and my forearm. But I can death grip it and really create you know, a better force vector upon the gun and all those different types of things, but I don't want to grip it very, very tightly. So I can't get up very high up on the gun, and I don't have a place really to put my thumb that I use to create a shelf to provide downward pressure and create that leverage like I do on most other striker fire pistols. So that is something that I do not like. Of course, obviously you can remove the back strap and make it a little bit more comfortable for your hands, small, medium, large hands, whatever it happens to be. Now the sights that I picked up with this gun are the True Dot, and from what I understand, they come, there's some models that come factory standard upon the H&K VP9. I've seen them in other gun stores as well. So that's really interesting. They're a really good set of night sights. I'm not a big fan of night sights, but it is what it is. When I was shooting, I had to have a combat sight picture. Now basically what that means is where you see the dot right now is where the bullet has to go, or where the bullet's gonna go, as opposed to like a more traditional style where I can't get it good, I'm sorry, where the front sight, whatever the front sight is cutting in half, is where the bullet's going to go. So basically combat sights shoot a little bit lower if you're not familiar or not used to them. But the trigger pull is what really sets the H&K VP9 apart. You got this nice little set of pre-travel to a wall, press right through it, and just like the CZP-10C, there's nothing to it. What I don't like is the reset. You reset, it's a positive reset. See how my finger kind of went forward on that? And then I've got to find a wall again after that positive reset and press. So here you go again. I'll go as slow as I can. And then that press right there, I got to find a wall again and press again. Whereas with a Glock or a CZP-10C, you just reset, and you're right on that wall again. There's no needed pressure that you have to apply. But I do like the trigger. I like the trigger face. I like the way it feels in my hands. Very, very nice. I can shoot very quickly with the trigger. But Baret, if it's such a nice trigger, then why didn't we shoot very well at 25 yards? Well, I mean, you can chalk that up for me not being a very good shooter. I'm going to blame it on the actual sight picture. It's difficult for me to acquire a very good sight picture in that what is being communicated to me as the shooter and what the bullet is doing, for not being accurate but being extremely precise at 25 yards, was difficult for me. Now you could say, Baret, you just need new sights and that'll fix the problem. Great, but we're talking about, you know, out of the boxness. What is the gun doing out of the box? Let's take her back to 50 and see what we can do. So how does the H&K VP9 help me as a shooter perform at 50 yards? Well, I tell you, it's probably not going to be the trigger that throws me off. It's probably going to be the sight picture, but we're going to continue on with the sights and see what we get. Well, I'll tell you, not a problem hitting at 50. Really what it comes down to, if you're finding that you're shooting lower than what you would normally do, check to see if the sights are actually a combat sight picture. I know that's one of the things that frustrated me for years with it when I was shooting SIGs and things like that. Why am I shooting low? And that may be a reason why for you. When we talk about the shootability of a handgun, one of the things we also want to consider is the recoil impulse, meaning what does the gun feel like when it recoils in my hand, and how fast can I get on those sights again? Will the gun return back into the original position? Well, a lot of this stuff is simply just proper fundamentals, but there are certain guns that help more so than others. The H&K VP9, because it has a higher bore axis, does not help me maintain recoil impulse or control the firearm very well. The left thumb, the support thumb that I use to have leverage upon the gun to drive down, sits lower on the frame. So because of that, I don't have as good of leverage. So we're at 15 yards. We're going to shoot it kind of quickly and see. I want you to watch what the gun is doing. Again, you saw lots of movement, but that was very slow shooting in comparison to what I can do with the Glock or the CCP-10C. Is that a deal breaker? No, absolutely not. All I mean to communicate is that I can shoot other guns faster and more accurately at greater distances than I can the H&K VP9. Okay, so we got the Indiana dirt test, and again, I'm not going to enjoy cleaning this gun at all. Oh. Beautiful, fantastic. Now for some of that really fine sand. Oh, this is not good. From being sandy, oh, that didn't sound very good at all. But it worked, holy crap, that's awesome. And then of course we've got the baptism test. The Greek word baptizo, for those of you who know a little bit of Greek, means to immerse. And we want to see if this H&K VP9 will fire after getting wet. Well, there you guys have it. Dirt test, followed by a sand test, immediately followed by a baptism test, and the gun still works, unlike the failure to feeds like we had from the CCP-10C. Well, holy crap, guys, we didn't think that was gonna happen, did we? Let me tell you about my experience with this particular gun. I've had about 1,400 rounds to this gun, not as many as I've had with the CCP-10C. I've had one stovepipe and one failure to fire. It wasn't ammo issue at all. It very well could have been, but the primer strike was very, just very light, if you will. So I don't know how to explain that. Some other issues that I've seen with the VP9 in class, because I teach a lot of classes, a lot of people run HK VP9s. Biggest thing is just stovepipes. It's just things that that's really it. But you know, those happen with all different types of guns. But with that dirt, sand, and then water test, I'm very impressed. So how do we rate the gun on its reliability? I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. And the reason why is because I've seen same issues over and over again in class. I've experienced the issues like within 1,400 rounds that people have experienced in class with, but at the same time, it's that sand, dirt, and water test, it just performed beautifully. So I was really happy with that. And I think that H&K and H&K owners should be happy with that reliability of it. So how are we gonna rate the H&K VP9? Well, let's start with its grip. I'm not a fan of the ergonomics of the gun. I'm not a fan of the high bore axis. I'm not a fan that I can't put my thumb on the shelf of where I want it to be. And the gun moves around, and its recoil impulse in my hand just does not feel very nice. And sadly to say, because of all that, I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. Please don't kill me, H&K fans. I will start by saying that the trigger is phenomenal. It's a great trigger. It's a two-stage AR trigger, so to speak, of after you've reset, you have to find the wall again, because you go past the wall, you gotta find the wall again and prep for that, and then you press it again. But I didn't find that that really slowed my shooting down. I didn't find that that was really a big thing. It was just more of a preference thing. It didn't really do anything as far as my performance with the gun, so I like it a lot. I'm gonna give it a 7.5 out of 10. The sights, the combat sight picture, I'm not really used to, not a fan of, but once you spend some time with it, it's pretty easy to dial it in. And with it, that it came with night sights, I do like that feature. So I'm gonna give the sights actually an 8 out of 10. I think that somebody can be accurate and precise with these. I think that I could be accurate and precise with these given enough time, but it just takes some getting used to, so that's where I'm gonna leave it. Now, obviously, guys, these ratings, they're nothing real objective. They're just ways of how I'm comparing them to what I imagine 10 out of 10 being the perfect gun possible to be. So when we tally the score overall, I'm going to give it a 7.125 out of 10. I think it's a great gun. I think personally, if H&K wanted to make me happy, which who am I don't really care, they would take off a little more of this part of the frame so I can get my hand higher up on the gun. And again, everybody's going to have their difference of opinions, but when we come to the price of the gun, and that I paid about $480 for the gun, $489 for the gun, it's pretty dope. I mean, let's be honest, that's a pretty good deal. I know I've heard people complain about the high price of H&K VP9s. That's not what I found them at. I found them at that price new, a little bit cheaper used. But when I went back in my records, I found that I paid about $490 for the gun. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this overlook and comparison of the VP9 to the CZP-10C. Next time, we've got the Canik TP9 SF Elite. We're gonna talk about the shootability, the reliability, and the price of this gun. So join us next time. Turn on those post notifications, like and subscribe so you can find the video when it drops. Guys, I love you so much. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your prayers. I just think this is the coolest honor and opportunity that I have to have a platform where I can share with buyers my experience with firearms, and hopefully that will help with the purchase. Hold fast, stay the course. True Exodus out.